Hare Krishna. Let's make a start. Thank you for joining. This is Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Yodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjan Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjan Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutle Swam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Veshamcha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunathamnitam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Prajna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatu Prihascha Kirpa Sindhuvevacha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gatadhar Shri Vasdi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Hamandeshi Gurundin Taranam Paramananda Madhvam Shitsanyeshram Hariyam Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Sasviti Vyasam Tato Jemaduriyat Nasta Preshabdirishu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. So, Hare Krishna. Let's carry on. We're talking about Bhishamdev passing away, and last time we were discussing, we talked about the art of dying, and Bhishamdev leaves his body, and we talked about an auspicious timing to live like that, and say for a devotee there is no such time. It was Vishnudev's humility that he was referring to Uttanarayan, but otherwise he could have left any time. Or actually, he was waiting for Lord Krishna to come because he was a pure devotee. He knew that Lord Krishna will definitely come, and that is the way. But he didn't want to show that, oh, because I'm a pure devotee, Krishna will come. But inside he was confident that he will come for him, which he did. Excellent. So let's carry on. I think we're on verse 35, which we didn't do last time. Okay. So Sapti Sakhi Vacho Nishamya Made Nij Parayo Balyo Ratham Niveshya Stivati Par Sainikayor Akshana Ritavati Par Sakhe Rati Mamastu. So Sapadi on the battlefield, Sakhi Vacha, command of the friend, Nishamya, after hearing, Madhye, in the midst, Nij, his own, Parayoha, and the opposite party, Balayoha, strength, Ratham, chariot, Niveshya, having entered, Stivati, while staying there, Parasainik, of the soldiers on the opposite side, Ayu, duration of life, Akshana, by looking over, Ritavati, act of diminishing, path of Arjun, son of Pritha, which is Kunti, Sakhe, unto the friend, Rati, intimate relation, Mamai, Astu, let there be. So, in obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Shri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, between the soldiers of Arjun and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. So just by looking at them, he had marked them all, who he wanted to destroy. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. So Vishnudev is praying at his last moments. His physical, he can't speak now, and his body is obviously a bed of arrows. So in his mind, he's praying to Lord Krishna while he's present in front of his eyes. So in the Bhagavad-Gita 1:1-5, Arjun ordered the infallible Lord Shri Krishna to place his chariot between the flanks of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in the battle. When the Lord was so asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out all the important men on the opposite side, saying, here is Bhisham, here is Drona, and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his, of course, mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the orders of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the orders of a small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Vishnudev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as a friend of Arjun. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. But they obviously saw him with favorable eyes, not with animosity. This is the why they got salvation. So therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjun enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjun. Actually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in the ordinary course of life. So by coming to this battle, they were delivered. Excuse me. Here was a chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjun, his intimate friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjun's enemies as well. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord. And whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstances because he is absolute, all good at all times. So that's the fact that Krishna, he doesn't do no wrong even to the enemies. Because at the end of the day, they're all his children, good or bad, they're all his children, and he does not have anything wrong or any wrong intention for anyone. So even the enemies get delivered. Let's see if Srila Prabhupada says anything about this. Arjun cannot see Krishna's eyes. Okay, we were talking about last time. The battlefield by Bhisham could see in the dancing of the soldiers. Arjun could not see Krishna's eyes on the battlefield. So as Krishna was glancing over the enemy, the soldiers of the enemy, but Bhisham could see him glancing of the soldiers who will die within 18 days. So not only did Bhisham notice the beauty of Krishna, his hair flying in the air and the dust catching his face like that, because he had a better view than Arjun was behind him, so Arjun could not see all this. But he also noticed that Krishna was glancing over the enemy soldiers, and by that he was marking them out to be killed, will die within 18 days. That is Krishna's mercy. The soldiers who die on the battlefield will get liberation from material life instead of dying at home and taking another body. So what Krishna does is auspicious. Krishna is independent. He doesn't have to carry out anyone's orders, but he does due to his love for his devotees. So that's this verse, its explanation. And as we were saying last time, that Krishna loves different varieties of rasas. So like with Bhishamdev is not his enemy. He doesn't see him as his enemy. He wants to fight. So Bhishamdev could not fight him by being on his side. So he had to be in the opposite side to fight Krishna. Krishna wanted a chivalrous fight, and Bhisham has that mood, has that rasa with him. So he was ideal. Yavitha pratna mukham nikarshya swajan badad vimokshasya dosha buddhya kumati marad atam vidyaya yash charanati parmasya tasya mestu. So vyahita, standing at a distance, pratna, soldiers, mukham faisi nirakashya, by looking upon, Savjan, kinsman, Badat, from the act of killing, Vimukhasya, one who is reluctant, Dosh, Buddhya, by polluted intelligence, Kumatim, poor fund of knowledge, Ahart, eradicated, Atam Vidyaya, by transcendental knowledge, Ya, he who, Charan, to the feet, Ratihi, attraction, Paramasya, of the Supreme, Tasya, for him, May mine astu, means let there be. So when Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated the ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. So the kings and the commanders were to stand in the front of the fighting soldiers. That was the system of actual fighting. The kings and commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. They would not stay home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be the regulation of modern democracy. But when actual monarchy was prevailing, the monarchs were not cowards elected without consideration of qualification, as it was evident from the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both parties like Drona, Bhisham, Arjun, Duryodhan were not sleeping. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters. So, Srila Prabhupada explaining the difference between modern fighting and fighting at that time. There's consideration for the innocent public, and also everyone had to go to war. That there's no reason why you could stay behind. The citizens had no business in seeking what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether it be Arjun or Duryodhan. All the commanders of the parties in the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjun saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsman on the battlefield for the sake of the empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military flanks presented by Duryodhan, but as a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him, and thus he decided not to fight for worldly possessions. But this was due to a poor fund of knowledge, and therefore it is said that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as is clear in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita. Apparently, Arjun's intelligence became polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad-Gita for the good of all polluted conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by the conception of the false material body. So, the Bhagavad-Gita to be delivered, Arjun had to come down to our level, basically, because we are polluted, we are conditioned souls. He was a pure devotee of the Lord, he was in company of the Lord, they were like friends, brothers. So he had no doubts about Krishna's instructions. But because we are polluted and we are conditioned, he had to have this delivered for our sake, so he had to come to our level. The Bhagavad-Gita was delivered to the conditioned souls of the world to deliver them from the wrong conception of identifying the body with the soul, and to re-establish the soul's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. Atma Vidya, or the transcendental knowledge of himself, was primarily spoken by the Lord for the benefit of all concerned in all parts of the universe. So this is 36. So Kali Yuga civilization means no culture. This is us now. Before, fighting was done on a battlefield away from the innocent public, and whoever wins looked after the citizens, and citizens paid tax. That was the deal. The citizens didn't get harmed as long as they paid their due. It was a business as usual for them and didn't get affected by the change of administration. So things carried on as normal, just a different face, that's all. This is like, well, even here, like when there's no war and the parties change, or the Labour Party is coming, Conservatives are coming, it doesn't make that much difference to us. I mean, we still carry on as we are. It's only when there's war, that's like a different, they're not at war when the parties change hands, the leaders change. But if there was a war and were taken over by another country, then it'd be like a totally different scenario. There'd be a lot of abuse and a lot of exploitation. And even before that, at the time of the war, a lot of the people, the public, the citizens die. They're bombed, like we're seeing, the countries right now, happening right now. Swanigmam apahaya mat pratijyan ritam adhikritam avaplatu rathastha tritarat charano vyayach chaladgur hari riva hantum ibam gato triha. So sav nigamam, on truthfulness, apahaya, for nullifying, mat, Kritagyam, my own promise. Ritam, factual. Adimo, kartum, for doing it. Avaplutha, getting down. Rathstha, from the chariot. Drita, taking up. Rath, chariot. Charnaha, wheel. Abhiyat, went hurriedly. Chal, the who, trampling the earth. Hari, lion. Eva, like. Hantum, to kill. Ibham, elephant. Gat, leaving aside. Uttriyaha, covering cloth. So fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. So Vishnudev is remembering when Krishna broke his vow that he would not get involved in the war, he would not lift a weapon, but he did. When Vishnudev was firing arrows at Arjun, Krishna became very angry and he picked up a chariot wheel and he threw it at Vishnudev. So the battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time in a supporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Duryodhana criticized Vishnudev, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjun because of paternal affection. Like a Kshatriya cannot tolerate insults on the principle of fighting, because that's what he does, and he will not be insulted and told that he's not good enough and he's not doing his job properly. So is that principle stood. So Vishnudev therefore promised that the next day he would kill all 5 Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose. So Duryodhana was satisfied because he was satisfied because he got what he wanted. He is trying to agitate Vishnudev, so he would provoke him to go and fight and kill his grandchildren. By tricks, Arjun took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Vishnudev could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. He had some arrows that that couldn't be checked. So he took a vow that the next day Krishna would have to take up weapons himself, otherwise his friend Arjun would die. In the next day's fighting, Vishnudev fought so violently that both Arjun and Krishna were in trouble. Arjun was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Vishnudev the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Visham by keeping Visham's promise. So the Lord always keeps his devotees' promise. So Vishnudev had promised, he had vowed, and Krishna wanted that vow fulfilled, which was more important than his own. That he could break his own vow that he won't lift any weapons, but he didn't want Vishnudev's vow to go empty. Seemingly, he broke his own promise. He promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjun, he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel of the chariot, and hurriedly rushed at Vishnudev in an angry mood, as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He dropped his covering cloth on the way, and out of great anger, he did not know that he had dropped it. Vishnudev at once gave up his weapons, stood to be killed by Krishna, his beloved Lord. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Arjun was saved. Of course, there was no possibility of Arjun's death because the Lord himself was on the chariot, and because Vishnudev wanted to see Lord Krishna take up some weapon to save his friend. The Lord created this situation, making Arjun's death appear imminent. He stood before Vishnudev to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel. So this is a rasa going on between Vishnudev and Lord Krishna, because they have this rasa relationship. Krishna will show his wounds, will show blood coming out his body. Although his body is transcendental, he'll show blood coming out his body, and it satisfies Krishna to do that his devotee is able to pace his body. and his devotees made him lift the wheel. So it's like that, and because that's the relationship they have, and he wants his devotee to do well, fight well with him, show some grit, do some, score some points basically against Krishna, and that makes him happy. Then he knows it's been a good fight. It's not been one-sided. It's been a good fight, with him. So this is why he's showing, when he was pierced by the arrows, blood coming out, although he didn't feel anything because his body is transcendental, but he wants to show that you hurt me. Look, I'm bleeding. You've done so well. Like that. That's the ras going on between the two there. So 37. So Bisham is focusing his attention on the scene when Krishna picked up. So all these scenes are going through his head while he is dying, and he's just praying, and at the same time picturing the situation that they just went through. Bisham is focusing attention on the scenes when Krishna picked up the chariot wheel to attack Bisham. Krishna broke his promise to uphold Bisham's promise. Krishna is happy to be criticized on behalf of his devotees so they can get glorified. So Krishna is renounced. He doesn't care for fame. He wants his devotee to become famous. At the time of Bisham's death, he was not thinking of Krishna with the flute, because that was not his rasa. He was not thinking of Krishna with the flute. He was seeing Krishna with the broken chariot wheel coming to kill him. That form was very pleasing to him. Yeah, this is warrior mentality. He wanted to be fighting Krishna till his last breath. And so 38. Vishikha hato vishran damasha shataj paripluta atatyino me parsambhav abhisasar madvadartham sabhavatu me bhagwan gati mukunda. So Shita, sharp, Vishikha, arrows, Hatha, wounded by Visarjan, Damsha, scattered shield, Shattaja, by wounds, Paripulutha, smeared with blood, Atatayana, the great aggressor, May my Prasambam, in angry mood, Abhisar, began to move on. What artham, for the purpose of killing me? Me sahahi bhavatu may become, may my Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead, Gati, destination, Mukunda, who awards salvation. So Bisham Dev is saying, may he, Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield he charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered and his body was smeared with blood due to wounds. So you can see that, we think that Bisham Dev is on the opposite side, he's the enemy, and why is he getting salvation? And why is Krishna coming to see him in a friendly mood? But you can see it's the rasas, they're enjoying the rasas. It's totally, if we don't read this, if nobody explains this, we will never know. We just see it as we know things. We only know things on the surface. That's just how it is. If you're fighting somebody till death, then he's your enemy, and he'll remain your enemy. But with Krishna, it's a totally different thing. He has so many rasas that he enjoys, and they're not necessarily his enemy. And even if they were, he will still help them. The dealings of Lord Krishna and Vishnudev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Krishna, Sri Krishna, appeared to be partial to Arjun and at enmity with Vishnudev. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Vishnudev, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. So even a devotee can please the Lord by playing part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm him, because he is Ajita, or unconquerable. But still he takes pleasure when his pure devotee beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from his superior position. Although no one can be superior to the Lord, these are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealing of the devotee with the Lord, and those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Bhisham played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely pierced the body of the Lord so that to the common eyes appeared that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The all spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Vishnudev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Vishnudev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Vishnudev with blood and wounds, but he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. So they're like decoration to him. This is a way of exchanging transcendental ras, or relations between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjun checked him when he was moving toward Vishnudev, but in spite of Arjun's checking, he proceeded towards Vishnudev as a lover goes to a lover, without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Vishnudev, but factually it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. Because that's the rasa, he wants to do his best for Krishna. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditioned souls. They personally desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here Vishnudev aspires to see the Lord in his personal feature. All pure devotees aspire for this. So, anything from Srila Prabhupada on this verse? So, Srila Prabhupada explains that most people, after reading the verse, wouldn't think that Krishna is an ordinary person. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada's purports and explanations, we would be, unless we had these purports, we would be confused, right? If we don't see this verse in a disciplic succession, we will see Krishna as an ordinary person. This was saying earlier that we wouldn't understand, we think they're enemies and what's going on. Because he got angry, he was wounded, there was blood, so then Krishna is ordinary. This is what we think, it's flesh and blood. But receiving this verse by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we get a different understanding. Even as a devotee, before this verse, it was understood that Krishna can break his promise for his devotee. So that's clear, you can see that. He had vowed not to lift any weapons in the war, yet he lifted the veil to kill Bhisham. But now we understand how he was also favoring Bhisham. Bhisham had to vow that today he would get Krishna to retaliate, and which he did. And so he got glorified. So this scene is meant to show special favor to Vishnudev. He is favorably serving Krishna. This is conducive to relationship between them. Vishnudev is attacking with the spirit of Kshatriya, and Krishna is also playing the role of the spirit of Kshatriya. If he wanted to, Krishna can kill Bhisham by just glancing at him like he did with the other soldiers. He doesn't need to pick up a chariot wheel to attack him. He's in the heart, he can just give him a heart attack. Krishna is acting wounded to glorify Vishnudev. Just like a father acts like his toddler is beating him in wrestling, his child is so strong. Krishna even enjoys the foul mouthing towards him from the mother-in-law and sister-in-laws Jatila and Kutila of Radharani. So Krishna sees everyone as children. So, like we see little kids, maybe like a 2-year-old, they can't even speak properly, they're like mumbling, and they're like telling them, they're putting the finger out, and telling their parents off about something, and the parent just can't stop laughing, and they video them doing that. They can't understand what they're saying, but they can tell they're being told off, and they actually enjoy being told off by by a little toddler. So as Krishna sees that he likes this is rasa. So Vijayarat Kadumba Tatotre Drita hai Rashmini Tachri Krishne Bhagavati Rati Astu Me Mamusho Yam Iha Niriksha Hata Gatha Swarupam. So Vijay Arjun, Rath chariot, Kutumbe, the object of protection at all risk, At Totre with a whip in the right hand, Dhrithaya controlling the horses, Rashmini ropes, Tat Shriya beautifully standing, Ikshane to look at, Bhagavati unto the person regarded, Rathi Astu let my attraction be, may my Umrusho one who is about to die, Yam upon whom, Iya in this world, and Niriksha by looking, Hatha those who died, Hatya Gatha attained Savrupam original form. So we'll just do this verse. Okay. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna. Just like Kunti was saying, let my attraction, just like the river Ganges flows into the sea, let my attraction to be to Krishna. So Vishnu Devi is saying the same thing. Let my ultimate attraction to be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjun, the Parthasarthi, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjun's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained the original form after death. So even though he was chariot driver Arjun, he still looked magnificent in that form. He still looked worshipable in that form to his devotees, even to his enemies, because he just looked so magnificent. He still looked beautiful in that form. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendently related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by controlling the senses from all of the engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. However, a devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name. So this is explained in Bhagavad-Gita, fame, past, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical because he's suppressing, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural and pure love and spontaneous affection. Yes, he doesn't have to force this samadhi, this affection, this focus. Bhishmadev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa, up to the Moshala Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates, like the Pandavas and Bhishma, are constant eternal companions. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishmadev was just in front of the Lord. As far as military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishmadev observed this with more relish than Arjuna. So he had the advantage over him. All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained the original spiritual form like the Lord after their death. So that's confirmed by Srila Prabhupada. Because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or the form obtained by one's own actions and embodied by material nature. The material forms or the conditioned souls are all foreign dresses, and when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of material energy, he attains his original form. The impersonalist wants to attain the personal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but that is not all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcel of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material forms. So if you don't want a spiritual form, then you'll end up getting a material form. But a form you must have. It's just being a spark on its own does not fulfill your constitutional position as the servitor. So we have to be serving something. We can serve Krishna, we come back in the material world in the material form and serve our senses and the rest, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spiritual form, like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotees of the Lord, either in the Vaikunthas or in the Golok planet. According to the original nature of the soul, this form, which is 100% spiritual, is the Savarup of the living being, and all the living beings who participated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attained their Savarup as confirmed by Bhishmadev. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandavas, he was also merciful to the other parties because all of them attained the same result. Bhishmadev wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord, although his position was as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking on the personality Godhead within or without attains his Savarup, which is the highest perfection of life. So Krishna awards the highest perfection of life, which you cannot get from Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or any other demigod. No one else can offer you this salvation. So liberation can only be given by Lord Krishna. So anybody wants Krishna liberation, they have to go to Krishna. If you want anything else, you want material things, or you want to end up on the planet of Brahmlok or Shivlok or Indralok, then you can go to them if you're happy with that. But if you want liberation, only Krishna can give liberation. Nobody else can give you liberation. So that's 39. I think we're running out of time, so we'll leave it at that. And I think we have discussed that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so thank you so much. And let's have a quick discussion on this. Hare Krishna. And can I ask our Parthasarthi, Pundrikaksh Prabhu, to go first, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, all dear devotee. Yeah, I mean, this is a pastime where mm, instead of thinking much, just listen to it and enjoy the pastime, especially the relationship between Bhishmadev and Sri Krishna. Bhishmadev is very bold when compared to Sri Krishna. First thing he know that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And as we read in the previous purports, he was very well in consciousness through mind, and believed in Krishna when he came there. And he was waiting for Krishna actually. And the very first point in the purports we read today, Lord's glance actually delivered even all the soldiers. So soldiers who are seeing Krishna with a great good intention, they become delivered. So um, that's a glance of Krishna. One who sees the Krishna face to face will never need to come back again. And devotees always aspire to see the Lord in personal future. So as we understand three futures, Paramatma, Brahman, and personal form. But devotees understand that Lord is not impersonal; it's a personal. And uh, and we have seen through entire Bhagavatam and Krishna's pastimes how he reciprocate with his devotee. And this is a nice pastime where Bhishma uh, got angry when Duryodhan shouted at him that you're not killing them because you're favoring them. And Duryodhan do not have faith in Bhishma Dev. And he okay, give those 5 arrows which you kept to kill 5 of them. I will keep with me. And Krishna is a mysterious person, so he knows the plan of Duryodhana very well, and he sent Arjuna to remind Duryodhana about the promise he did when they were defeated by Gandharvas once. And Duryodhana promised that I will give you whatever you want. And Krishna reminded him that go and ask him now and take those 5 arrows from him. So Krishna very well protect his devotees. One who surrendered, one who has a complete faith, he will surrender, he will completely give protection to them. And as we've seen, even he breaks his own promise to protect his devotees. Mm, Yeah, that's all, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Again, it's a continuation from Monday. This is the Gita and the Bhagavatam teaches the art of living, and this is the art of dying. The art of dying is for the devotees, don't have to wait for the waxing of the moon. The devotees who has that prema, that love for Krishna, and that bhakti can be embraced by Krishna at any time. However, Bhishmadev, such an interesting conundrum he was given, because he was with the Kauravas but knew Krishna was the absolute truth. He was the fountain of Godhead. But this is the conflict of interest we have, the conflicts we have from day to day. We may work or we may be in relationships where we have conflicts with our partners, with our work colleagues, and with the direction of a particular organization. Bhishmadev knew that the direction taken by the not very illustrious leader Duryodhana was not conducive to the well-being of Hastinapur. But he went along with it because he was fulfilling the objectives of Krishna's will. And so it's so powerful that even those 640 million soldiers who died, Sena who died, received the mercy of God because they saw him before they were annihilated. And it took me a while to figure out, how did the demons, the miscreants, receive the grace of God? They were able to see him before they died. And hence, we have to do pious things, course that will bring us towards Krishna. But equally, those people who are on the opposite sides, Krishna is equal to all of us. But certainly he will break his promise. He will break his promise to protect his devotees. He put Arjun before Bhishma. However, both needs were fulfilled because Bhishma Dev knew exactly what was going to happen and why things were happening in this particular way. The rasa that was unfolding is such a beautiful mango that it takes a while to relish the different fragrances and the juices that come from it. On one hand, you get Bhishma there, you got Krishna, and you get Arjun. You know what's happening? This is the divine Leela. And we have to understand that, Krishna wants his devotees to become famous. He's not interested in his fame. He's the all-attractive. His fame goes before him. We have to work for our fame and attention, but he wants his devotees to be center of attraction. Hence we do our service to our children, family, and organization, and to Krishna. The Lord always knows and always keeps his devotees, and he always keeps his promise. Serve me, remember me, worship me. I promise you, you will come to me. And that's what Krishna is saying ultimately. I promise you that you will come to me. And the daily attention, bhakti, worship is all part of Krishna. Will keep to his promise, but any promise is a two-way process. We have a role and a hand in that ultimate shaking of the two hands. Serve the divine and not the senses or the material world, and you will be liberated. Serve the senses and the material world. There are 8,400,000 life forms to return back to. It's a big choice. However, at the time of death, you may even remember a deer or an ant or a mosquito. But the opportunity is there to relish the Krishna rasa. And so those who saw Krishna at the end as Bhishmadev, as all the 640 million senas, they were liberated. They went back home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Now I'm just thinking, those enemy soldiers that were killed and got liberation. Now, if somebody had said to them that you have two options, if you in like in normal circumstance, not on the war, on the battlefield, right? You have two choices or two options. If you die now, within 18 days, you can go back to Godhead, or you can die at an old age and then come back to the material world. I don't think any of them would have agreed to be killed now. They say, no, it's fine. They wouldn't have believed it anyway, that now, this is ridiculous. So we have so many responsibilities. We have young children, we have wife, etc. So Krishna's mercy that he brought them to the battlefield and delivered them like that. Because otherwise, nobody, you see what we say, that Krishna is ready to take us back, but we're the ones who don't want to go, isn't it? So this is Krishna's mercy, if he takes us back, that's Krishna's mercy. We're not interested to go back home. We're not willing to take the chance. Thank you, Ru. Radharani?
Hare Krishna, my pranams to all of you. Yes, it's so beautiful, This is the ultimate story which we can hear day in, day out and never get bored of it. Because the realizations and the lessons coming out of the story are amazing. It's an eternal saga, and it's an eternal magnum opus as well, isn't it? People go to see the best movie of the month or the week, but this is something which is always hit, and it's always at the top of the charts. It's amazing. When you envision the shlokas as going through in real life, like what they would have looked like when they were happening at that moment, it's really amazing. So that's the reason, we are in the material world and we just doubt all these things, as we can't even imagine that kind of scenarios being created and those lessons being dished out, and those like we say, we get the karma. And with Krishna around, those soldiers there, they were dished out instant karma, isn't it? If you were looking at the Lord with the hatred, they were granted Brahmajyoti. And the ones who were fine to be just the soldiers and to be on the other side or on this side, they got their own Swarupa, they got the liberation. And one lesson which comes again and again in the Bhishma's prayer is that Krishna gave his devotee the higher position. So it'll be really foolish of us that after reading, hearing, and understanding all these shastras, if we still don't want to be devotee of the Lord, don't want to continue serving the Lord, and instead want the vice versa, want to serve our own little ambitions and little, we have to work, but if it is along with the higher purpose, that will be our ultimate victory at the end of our lives. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you all so much. It's true, given the choice to go back home, now we will all indicate not now, too many unfinished. Absolutely, this is the thing. We'll have so many excuses why we can't go back at the moment. And
we'll regret those later.
so yeah, this is the thing, we the tree huggers, we think, the attachments are holding on to us, but we are the ones who are hugging the attachments. We're holding on to things we don't want to let go. We don't want to renounce. Never mind leaving. Obviously we got a lot of work to do. We don't have to leave our body. That was just an example. But we need to be detached, mentally detached, responsibly detached from things, and plus use things in Krishna's service as Yukta Vairagya, instead of using them for our own sense gratification. But we just love our senses too much, love to serve them, and like that. And when we just keep serving and do what Krishna wants from us. Hare Krishna. So thank you all so much. And Granth-Raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll catch up on Friday. Hari Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Premanand.